Welcome to Honest Combos with Karen
and Marcia. We're longtime biz besties bringing you along for the journey of building a business and life you actually want.
No fluff, no filters, just honest conversations about the highs, the lows, and everything in between.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfy, and let's get into it.
All right, this is probably going to be one of our favorite episodes. We're going to talk all about the Summer Reset Challenge. And it's a challenge that we created really because it's what we needed. It's like what we need right now to do our own kind of resetting. And we thought, why, our motto is let's not do it alone, let's do it together. And so we wanted to share it with our community as well because it really, when you're feeling a little stuck or busy and kind of wrapped up in the day to day, time is flying. I don't know, right before this episode, Marsha and I were like kind of just chatting like we normally do. And we're like, how is it like when this episode comes out, it'll be July 1st? And it's like, how is it that the year is like more than half over already? Like, we're already looking at Christmas stuff popping up. And I'm like, no, I'm not ready, but I mean, that's what happens, right? Time just kind of marches on. And sometimes it's like, wait, I thought I would have done XYZ by now. What happened? And so we want to have a chance to just hit a reset button, reconnect with our goals and really remember like what we want and what we're, doing this all for. And so we thought, okay, we'll do that for ourselves and then we'll share it with you. So I'm really excited to kind of dig into what the challenge will cover and how it'll help us get out of our own way. And so, we've all had those seasons where you're just doing all the things, the results aren't really there. You're like, I had goals in January, maybe February, or maybe it was March by the time I pulled out my planner and started planning. That's okay too. But we just want to take this moment, to just get out of our own head and reconnect with what matters and build the momentum that can really move us forward. Because the year is not over. Like we have still, what is it, 5 more months? And we really want to capitalize on that, make the most of it. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is the challenge that we've created and how you can join us.
I'm so excited to do this because especially like during the summer break, I don't care if you don't have kids or it's just summer is a completely different vibe. So I am excited to do this challenge with you, Karen, because there's nothing like having that accountability. And it's 7 days. Come on, people. Like you'll get an email, you'll get an email in the morning and and we'll go through what the actual like themes are because if you can't participate in the challenge that launches next week, then you can still do a self-paced one based off of this podcast episode. So it'll help you if you're stuck in self-doubt, if you feel like your circle isn't aligned with like your goals and where you want to take your business or life. It's also going to be a reminder, like as Karen says, like everything works. It's just a matter of what do you say, Karen? Everything works.
Yeah, everything works, and you just have to figure out what works for you.
Okay, there we go. That individual thank you, thank you. I hate talking for Karen because 'cause I'm like, I hear things that she says, I'm like, "Yeah, that's brilliant," and then I'll try to repeat, I'm like, "That is not in fact what she said," but yeah, so everything works, we just need to find out what's gonna work for you, so we are thinking these 7 days are going to there's gonna be some real value that you get out of it, and so, yeah, I think if we want to just start going through the different things that'll be in the challenge, and then that way if people are just listening along they can and we'll do a in the show notes we'll do a downloadable too, so if you get on our VIP mailing list then you can actually like have a print up so that you can do this self-paced as well, so
Yeah, so day one, the first shift that we're going to focus on is really getting clear on what you want. Because it is easy to say, everything works. You just have to find what works for you. And you're like, well, what does work for me? I don't even know. So, like, starting there with like clarity, like, especially when you're overwhelmed, it's really hard to like see your way out of that if you don't have an anchor of some kind. And the anchor that you should focus on is that clarity about what you want. Like, what do you actually want? And we're mostly focusing on your business, like really thinking about like your professional side, but you're a whole human. So it doesn't, we're not leaving out the personal, it's going to be important that you have clarity about that too. Like if there are personal goals, like maybe for health or just like your own mental or whatever it is, like you're a whole person. So we want to focus on the whole self, but really it's clarity. We have to like we can't start anywhere else. Like when we were putting this together, I'm like, of course you have to get clear first. Like how do you even roll on to the rest of the shifts, which are all, it's all very important puzzle pieces, but like that foundation is always going to be like, what do I actually want out of my life, out of my business? What is the actual goal? So that's going to be where we start.
When you get clear and you pull back the curtain, that can sometimes bring up some of the things that you've been doing either unintentionally or it might trigger some stuff. So, this most likely when you do get clear on what you want to do and you realize how you've been getting in your own way, it might make you feel vulnerable. So, the vulnerability, like we use that as a GPS and it helps point out to us what it is that we need to work on. And it's kind of like the sabotages and all the stuff that we've been talking to you about this season. So, the vulnerability probably is going to come up, but we're going to help you realize how you can use that to see what your weaknesses are and work through them. We will have the Instagram channel too, so we do want people to be able to, connect with the other people who are in the challenge.
Yes. Okay. So, and then after, you've gotten your clarity, you've kind of worked through, some of the vulnerability that comes up, then we're going to detox the doubt. That's what happens. Like, it's inevitable. Like, once you kind of, I'm sure this is what I want, and you work through like any of that vulnerability that comes up, like, the next thing is like, come on, are you serious, Karen? Like, is this really, like, how many times have we had this goal? Like, So we really have to go ahead and start detoxing that doubt. Like we have to shift those limiting beliefs. We have to reframe and we just have to like find new things to focus on, new evidence. We have to like see the evidence where things have worked and where you did go and where you did do the thing. And so we're going to help you kind of shift through that, find some new focus points so that you can like just get away from that doubt. It's always going to be there, it's the back seat, but we want it in the back seat, not the passenger and definitely not in the driver. So, we're going to work through that.
And then from there, we're going to get into action. That's number 4 is take a tiny step and we're going to encourage you to send that email to someone for collaboration, to follow up with a client who hired you and you know that there's more that you can help them with. So, tiny steps will equal major momentum in your business, which then helps your personal life because you're succeeding at business. So, and then we're going to encourage you to share that win with everyone else and then also celebrate it. So I think that there's really no, and this has been like the secret formula for me to succeed is that if I'm doing all of this stuff and I'm not actually celebrating it and I'm not acknowledging what I've been doing, then that's when I start to feel down in the dumps and I'm like, oh my God, I could be doing so much more. And it's like, no, stop it. Like, you are doing stuff, you are making an impact and just celebrate it, Like, nobody's gonna be like, "Oh my god, she's clapping for herself again." You don't have to do it in public. Every tiny step that you take, every action that you take, every aligned Karen, she loves that word. Every aligned action that you take, celebrate it because you're getting one step closer to whatever that big goal is. So, and we're gonna celebrate with you as well.
Yes, yes, yes. I love this. And so once you're kind of taking those tiny steps, we're going to shift to thinking about the identity that you want to embody. Like, who do you actually want to be? And so there's like a saying, like, you can't outwork a misaligned identity. Like a lot of times, and it does get it's we're not going to get too woo woo, guys. Like we're not going to just start singing songs and taking oil baths. I mean, you can do that. I'm all in on doing that, but that's not what this is about. So But there is a certain element of like how you're showing up when you're doing things, like what are the thoughts you're thinking, what like because that will help shift your actions. There's this whole TFAR, and we can probably dig into that in a whole another episode, but like, thoughts create feelings that create actions that create results. And a lot of that is anchored by your identity, like your who you want to be and who you are showing up as when you're doing certain actions is going to like, how are you gonna send that email? Or are you gonna do the webinar? Or, are you gonna ask for the sale? Like the things like you sometimes like we talked about that in I think the last episode where we're talking about like just taking on the identity, like still being you, but like really the identity of like the person who's going to send the email, ask for the sale, do the webinar, do all the things. So we're going to talk, we're going to work through that. We'll have some journaling prompts. We love to journal around here, and we'll have that channel where we can share and reflect and kind of think like what was a time that you did make a bold move, how did it feel, what was going through your mind when you did that, like so that we can just remember the identity that we are and the identity we want to be, and then also just have that fuel for boldness. So that's going to be a fun one.
And then from there, we're going to get into your circle of influence, who you actually spend your time with. The whole purpose of us building this community is we want you to be in an elevated space with people who are living their best lives, doing their work, putting themselves out there, and supporting each other. So we'll have you think about people who have maybe held you back or people who have mentored you and helped you to succeed. And so it's all about just getting clear on the community that you are surrounding yourself with and reminding you that you have a say in who you spend your precious time with. So we'll also have you visualize like the type of people that you wanna be around, and then I bet you there's someone you know on LinkedIn or Instagram, and, like, you just haven't forged that relationship, and so we'll give you a little nudge. We'll say, "Hey, why don't you send a message?" Just be like, "Hey, would you be interested in a coffee or a Zoom?" Or but, yeah, just basically connecting with people who are on a similar path to you and who are high vibe. Maybe you'll get a biz bestie out of it, or 2.
That would be amazing because biz besties are the best. So as we kind of wrap with the seventh part of the challenge, really does focus on bringing it full circle, right? And so like once you've done the inner work, now it's like who are you surrounding yourself with? Like let's build those outer results by being in community, by having, a group that will hold you accountable, that you can have real conversations with. We talked about not being performative. And so that's where, we will talk more about the Success Secret Society and why we think you should join. We're not hard salespeople, but we do ask for the sale for sure. But we always want to give you value, like regardless, right? Like even if you decided it's not a good fit for you, or maybe not right now, whatever that might be, we definitely want you to still get value. And so the challenge is going to help you make these shifts in these different areas, and then also help propel you into the next phase of, and that's going to always from our perspective include community, and we have a whole episode about it. We'll link up to that. We love community, we talk about it all the time, but that's definitely going to be the like cherry on top.
It might be overwhelming, like, how like, we spoke about all of this. This is something that we're gonna do for 7 days. We're gonna spend a week with you guys, and real momentum, as I said, it comes from just taking tiny steps, and so, like, signing up for the challenge, and that could be a tiny step that you take today, but just knowing that when you're proactively working on yourself and on your business, that you're growing? So I think we've done a pretty good job of of setting up a challenge that's gonna be good for all of us. I think Karen and I will get a lot of fulfillment out of, like, cheering you guys on and helping you and just being your guide along the challenge, and reach out to us. We would love to hear from you. And Karen, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, just I think just like it is those tiny steps because I do think sometimes we feel like even when it comes to doing a task, it's like, well, I don't have a whole hour, so I can't even bother with this right now. And it's like, just take those 10 minutes, right? Like you can make some progress in those 10 minutes. And so we do want to focus on like just those tiny steps, like one shift a day is all we need to move us forward. And so we're hoping that through the challenge, you'll kind of get that rhythm and that momentum and see that it doesn't have to be a big, scary thing or like a huge task to start moving yourself in a different direction. If that's, if you're feeling out of alignment, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're feeling stuck, like this is definitely going to help you shift out of that. And so we would love to have you join us. And we'll put the link in the show notes, but it's going to be at honestconvospodcast.com forward, back, whatever that slash is, challenge. So definitely check it out, and we definitely, if you're on the VIP list, have a download that just goes through these 7 shifts so that if you don't join the challenge, you at least have a little go by. But yeah, we would love to see you there. Hey, friend, loving this combo?
Then don't keep it to yourself.
Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. And if you're feeling extra generous,
Leave us a quick review. It helps more women find the show, and it honestly means the world to us.
and we really want to connect beyond the podcast. So come say hi on social.